Hello everybody, this is Bitcoin Macro, and on this video guys I'm gonna talk about several stuff that are listed on Binance, but most importantly the first three ones have been previous Binance IEOs. So all of them have something quite special about them, and that's why I would want to talk about them now. Of course, the market conditions are not the best, and I've been saying this on pretty much every video. So first, you might have to wait for Bitcoin to bottom. Maybe the top is in, but if you're still interested in trading some of these coins, because there will be bounces, and even though, maybe Bitcoin has stopped, it might mean that at least some altcoins do fairly well against Bitcoin over the next few weeks or months. Now, I do not believe that the market top is in, but if it is in and maybe the correction lasts a bit longer, I'm just giving you guys what I see right now and some projects that you should be considering for the future as well. So first one is Matic. Matic was one of the first Binance IOs, maybe not one of the first, but it's at least one of the oldest ones, and it has been one that had been that had gotten investments by Coinbase as well. Recently it got listed on Coinbase actually. So it has been doing fairly well. It has reached almost 2+ billion in market cap, but it's now dropped a bit. Now, maybe that turns into some sort of consolidation, but if we start seeing a massive breakdown, if it doesn't recover fairly quickly, then it might be in for big trouble. So if we look, let's say, at the logarithmic chart, Matic was looking fairly good right here. Massive consolidation in this area, nice breakout that I'm going to talk about, and then massive increase by about 10x. So it has moved a lot, but remember guys, Matic is getting a lot of traction because a lot of projects are building on top of it. So Matic was rebranded to Polygon. I'm so used to saying Matic, so pardon me guys for that. It's called Polygon, not Matic right now, but it's just again one of those projects that has gotten several listings. It got on Huobi before the big bump, then it has been on Binance US, which also has played a role. Being listed on Binance US is kind of a big deal, because it does mean that it could get potentially listed on Coinbase at some point, or at least that US people have access to it. So again, lots of listings right here, and I do believe there could be more coming for Matic. And of course, again, it's the adoption that matters most of all, because again, with the high Ethereum fees, you could see projects like Matic do very well, even just because speculators tend to prefer second layers and stuff like that, or maybe layer ones. So yes, Ethereum could do well, but I do believe it's kind of struggling because of all the fees and the limitations that it will have the more it grows. So if we look at Matic, check this guys, all-time high right here, second test of the all-time high, little resistance right here. It got a massive spike because of the listing on Coinbase right here. It had done a full cycle versus Bitcoin, and it could have more to give, okay? Because that's part of the reason why I really like looking at stuff versus Bitcoin. Now, versus Bitcoin, it's already up about 12x or 14x from here, actually 14x or even more. So it has gone up quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie, like buying now, yes, it is a little bit more expensive, but given the fact that this is the current structure, I could see it go higher, especially given the fact that after making its all-time high, it didn't really make new lows. It does look a bit like the BNB chart, so it could go much higher. Okay, especially because after the Coinbase listing, it's one of those that didn't really dump as much, whereas other coins have done down significantly after the Binance listing, and that's very important in my opinion. So next one is Axie Infinity AXS, and it's also one that has done very well overall. very well. And at some point I had compared it with Alpha, because Alpha was an IEO that came about the same time as Axie came out. Axie is one of those NFT projects, so it definitely has something extra going for it. However, it's also one of those that have gone up very much, and it's about 350 million in market cap, which isn't that much. However, not many listings for Axie, and I do believe it could eventually get listed on Coinbase, given the fact that Coinbase does have some of those projects that are related to gaming and virtual reality like Engine, Mana, and I do believe there will be more coming. So recently got a listing on Huobi that led into a pretty significant spike. It also got on FTX, and I do believe more could follow. Also being listed on Upbit definitely plays a big role, as we've seen with more coins before, where a listing on that Korean exchange has resulted into a massive spike. So if I just look at the chart versus Bitcoin, now look, this doesn't look great if we consider this, but it might just be a case where you see that little extra high and then pull back. It might be just another one of those, especially because when you have that consolidation near that resistance and then you have that pullback, maybe it does do well afterwards. Now, if it starts breaking below this low, it might be over. It might be over, guys, because again, this had this really nice area right here, nice consolidation. Didn't really last very long. It was one of those that were doing very well where everything else was dumping. Then it did dump significantly and then started its nice rally, and then of course with all the NFT craze, it did very well. Now that project that I compared it to earlier, it was Alpha Finance Labs, and it did have that nice little kind of consolidation right here, and then boom, higher. And then when it had that failed high up here, it did start crumbling. So potentially Alpha could get all the way down here. Now Alpha has also had some issues with some hacks and stuff like that, so that might have played a role as well. So don't take my word that, you know, Axie is going to be the same stuff with Alpha. But for example, if both pull back into the similar area right here, they might have a very nice bounce. It might be that's where the bottom is. Next one is Injective Protocol. It is one that I mentioned fairly recently on one of my previous videos. I was talking about some major news. Mark Cuban invested in them. They've been expanding on other chains consistently. And look, I think they also did that stunt with, you know, burning that Banksy artwork and making it, trying to turn it into an NFT. I don't know how that will work for them, but it's definitely one to watch as well. Now this one, when it got listed on Huobi, it didn't really have a big bump. It did have a price increase, but it was one of those that was lagging quite a bit actually. And to me, the big difference here is that if we take Injective and compare it to like similar projects, like maybe I will show you that after I talk about Injective a bit more on the price. But then if we, let's say, look at Synthetics and potentially Mirror Protocol, I do that they could do fairly well. Because if you look at this, Injective also came at the same time with Axie and Alpha. It did pump quite a bit, but it didn't have that exuberance that the other ones have had. Okay, and it was lagging for quite some time. It did top along with some of the other stuff like Synthetics and all that, and right now it's been showing a significant amount of strength. So for me to expect this to start going down like this, it's probably a hard scenario to imagine. Now I could see it pulling back all the way down there and then going higher, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just bumps straight from here. So it's definitely one to watch because it has a lot of positive stuff going for it. Okay, so if we just take this line right there, I know it's not perfect. I have to skip sort of this thing right here because I do think it's a bit of an anomaly. But if we just connect those ones right there, or even do something like this, I don't know, but it's still in a very, very clean uptrend. It could come all the way down there, but then pump much higher afterwards. Now I'm gonna go into some other tokens and some other projects. One of them is Helium, which has also done very, very well recently, and it's still looking fairly strong and hasn't been listed on many exchanges yet. It's an interesting project, and I do believe that, you know, it will get listed on more exchanges at some point, Coinbase being one of them as well, because being listed on FTX, Binance US, and just Binance is kind of weird, in my opinion at least. Okay, yes, of course there are some other exchanges as well, but they are not like, you know, those major exchanges that someone might have had expected to be listed on. So if I look at the Bitcoin chart, look at this, guys. So it came all the way up there. It did sweep that all-time high. I don't know how perfect this line is, because what happened was it got listed on Binance and all that stuff, and that was on FTX, or I think it got listed on FTX first. I'm not 100% sure. Look at how nice this little cycle worked out for it, and then when it came down to there, it did bounce nicely, maybe all the way down here with that spike. It has recovered a bit. So overall, I do believe that it could just pull back a little bit and then go higher. But I wouldn't be surprised if we come all the way back down there in case the entire alt season is over. So again, like I said on the previous videos, the same way, guys, we've had this cycle on the upside, and then the full cycle was retraced, came all the way down there again. We could potentially see the same thing happening with the upside. So we come up here, we sweep the high, we have an SFP, the market fails to break higher, and that's why it fails and potentially could get us much, much lower. However, because right now I do see some extra strength, like this way of coming up here is not the same way as coming up here. Plus I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart, so maybe with some consolidation above these key levels right here might lead to more upside, because again, this uptrend has been fairly solid so far. Now this could be seen as a blow off. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a blow off. I'm not against the idea of that being, you know, the final move up, but I do believe that it's fairly early to tell right now, and it's definitely one of those projects that could get listed on many more exchanges, and that's what might drive its next round of demand. And finally, the ampleforth governance token. It was a very, very recent listing. Right now, ampleforth, the governance token, has a smaller market cap than the actual ample token, and it got listed on tons of exchanges. Like if you compare, you know, the previous listings that I mentioned for, let's say, Helium, look at this right now. So this is how much easier it is sometimes to list some existing projects that they launch a new token, for example, like this one, or maybe, you know, stuff that are just some tokens on Ethereum, for example, compared to some blockchains or some actual cryptocurrencies that are way different. So they need a lot more care, because what happens, let's say if Coinbase lists a token that hasn't been tested extensively, there is a big failure. There people lose money, there is loss of confidence and all that stuff. So, you know, it's a lot easier to just list governance tokens than anything else. But all those listings are definitely something that, you know, have contributed to this. Let me see if I can find the chart right here. So no, I cannot get a chart on CoinMarketCap, on CoinTrader Pro, but I could just try on TradingView. So again, guys, when you get all those listings in one go, it doesn't mean that that's a great thing. Sometimes that just results in a very, very immediate increase in price, which then collapses very, very quickly. Okay, because all the people that want to sell have been able to sell almost immediately, and you don't really get to have a nice sustainable price increase. So there is a difference between one massive listing in one go and potentially, let's say, some listings happening slowly over time. Okay, there is a big difference between the two. So if I look at the fourth token, right there, that's of course the listing on Binance. But if I just look, let's say, at the one on Coinbase, you see you have that spike very quickly. That's about 200% in less than a day. Now, of course, we don't know if that's actually the price I started. Let's say that's the actual price I started, but 150% in 3 hours is definitely a massive amount. But if we just see this slowly making new highs from here, then it could be in for a very, very big rally. But I would suggest that we have to see some strength first, because again, if we are at the end of the bull market, you know, usually when things don't go well, then token listings usually result in big dumps. And that's a very, very important piece of alpha, guys. The more you see listings on exchanges result in massive dumps, then you have to start getting a bit more worried, especially maybe for the sector that you are trading, maybe the category of coins you are trading, maybe the size of the coins that you are trading. Because again, if let's say smaller coins start dumping massively, but let's say Ethereum or Bitcoin looks good, then that probably means that, you know, you want to be in those coins rather than newer tokens. If you hold those tokens after a listing, just be aware that especially if the listing has been massive, you want to exit right after the listing and maybe rebuy the token a lot lower, from 30%, 50%, like it depends on how much it did pump. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Once again, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Just let me know what you think about those tokens. Any of the tokens that I mentioned, all of them have some pretty serious fundamentals, some seriously good stuff going on for them. But right now we're a bit at a critical point, you know, of the price discovery. Maybe the market has stopped, or at least maybe we are in that corrective stage before Bitcoin starts rallying on its own. So again, I'm just mentioning some of the gems, guys. You have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very aware that right now it might not be the best time for trading these things. Maybe you want to put small amounts in and set and forget, but just know that because they have gone up so much, all of them, it might not be the best time for investing. So I would suggest that you can look for key areas on those coins that you like. And it's just good to hear from other people coins that look interesting, but then just form your own plan. So once again, guys, follow me on Twitter, follow me on TradingView. Just come join my Telegram channel, come visit us, just message us there. And, you know, overall, just come interact with me in any possible way and get the updates from the source, because again, those videos take quite some time both to make and upload and edit and do all the stuff that have to be done to get them out there. So it's not the easiest process. Plus, nobody might want to see and let's say watch a 20-minute video when everything is dumping and the market action is fairly volatile. And that's why I would suggest that you come follow me there and you can get live updates on my thoughts. So once again, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.